I'm Chris Mcdonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the interview room this evening. And as you can tell, I have one of my best friends and delightful guest, Miss Linda from It's a Crime. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Hello. I'm really good. How are you?
We're doing good. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for taking out your time tonight. I know that you have been so diligent and, all the great work that you've been doing, behind the scenes with Suzanne's case. And I know you have one of those minds that I couldn't have thought of a better friend to come on here and to, just kind of chat it up a little bit about some of the things we've learned and, just kind of get your thoughts and your ideas. And, maybe we'll jump into, our friends here, who've come over, answer a lot of questions, hopefully. And, just kind of hang out, which we always do, right? How you feeling?
Yeah, it's great. I always like hanging out with you. It's been a while, it feels, but it's always fun.
Yeah. I'll tell you, and it was an adventure last night. Let me tell you, but Dillan got really sick. He got food poisoning, and I know we were in the ER till about 2:00 this morning. Karen had taken him over there, so we were crossing our fingers that he was feeling better. And as you can tell, he's in the back room right now, and he kicked it all out. So we thank the Lord for that. So he's doing well.
I hope you feel better, Dillan.
Hey, so just a couple of quick shout outs for everybody that's here. Let me go over and take a look at some. First of all, thank you, all of our mods. My gosh, you guys are absolutely, just fantastic. And I know you do a lot of cross duty for a lot of us out here. And for that, we are grateful. Crystal G, I know that you're just kind of jumping in here, and we appreciate that. AB, it's great to see you here. Maui girl, aloha. Love that Biaka Mai out there, right? And Miss Sophia, Mimi J. And you have a lot of your folks here too, right, Linda? Anybody you want to acknowledge?
Oh, yeah. I see Maui girl, Jenny, Vicky. There's so many people. We have a similar community, I think, too, Chris.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Hey, so I want to just bounce a couple of things off of you. So as you know, all of us have made a commitment here, to kind of make sure that the truth is told no matter what it is, right?
Yes.
Not through the investigation, but just kind of keep things moving. When we were out there, one of the most significant things I think that I found, and by the way, we spent quite some time out there. I'm not there now. I'm not in Colorado now. I'm in an undisclosed location doing other things. We just finished with North Dakota. We were up there, doing some training for the Native American, homicide task force up there. So I was doing some behavioral analysis training and cold case investigation training. And so anyway, long story short, one of the things that really jump out at me, and I want to hear your takeaway on this, because you have absolutely, you have a brilliant mind when it comes to, connecting dots. And I know, you've nailed some nicknames and stuff like that, which, you go, girl. But, just so, what did you think of his high school team is the Tigers?
Wow.
I was blown away.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
go.
First, that video you just premiered, so emotional. I had to tell Mr. Hubby, Mr. Linda, to go get me some Kleenex, because then I'm thinking, oh, we're on in 5 minutes. Yeah, the Tigers, who knew, right? You made so many amazing points. I did make a couple of notes on here, but yeah, the Tigers, and how it even parallels almost with what he says later on, years later. And you made such great points about, this team, and you could see paw prints everywhere, and the Tigers, and how he played baseball, and football wasn't really allowed. I mean, the things you covered in there was so profound, and so it's just emotional in both sides, in Barry's growing up and in Suzanne's. Is very interesting about the Tiger. I didn't know that, and as soon as you said that, I'm scribbling.
Well, and we didn't know it either, right? I mean, when we got there, and we started doing my research, I ran across that, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, okay?
Yes.
And just, is there a correlation to that, right? Because, well, let me back up for a second here.
Sure.
The other thing that we learned pretty quickly, this is, the dynamics of each, Suzanne's, how she was raised, her father's successful, and, Jean's root beer and everything there. And then you have Barry, who is really, he's that kid out in the country who is a fighter. He's the guy that is, he's going to get things done. Okay. But his intensity, though, is just unbelievable from the folks that I interviewed. And I mean, these were people that grew up with him. Okay. From the bottom up. I mean, as you can tell, that school, that was his first kindergarten class at Cunningham Elementary. And that baseball field, that if you watch it again, go back later on, if you see that big spread of field, that's a cornfield between his house and the school, right?
Right.
But he's within eye shot of that ball field for all of his development years until, he gets out of high school. And then his, mom moved to another house, and that was the second house during his teenage years. Okay. But his dad, according to everybody we talked to, just was, he built this batting cage.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in the backyard. And he told him every single day, you will, okay, go out and practice. Not, hey, if you don't feel like it, okay. No,
right.
It was really interesting. What strikes you about that?
What strikes me is basically he's eating, sleeping, breathing, dreaming baseball. From the moment he wakes up, you're out in that field, then you're out you're out at the batting cage, and you're out on the other field, and it's push, 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 push. That's what I get, right? Push, push, push. Whereas you see the opposite with Suzanne, right? But this was like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, get out to the ball field and go. So yeah, very, very striking, really. With that, and interesting too, if I can just add to that, you were
keep
talking
going
about the hat with the game in there that says the game in it. It's just all these little things. You start to see a bigger glimpse of Barry, just in the baseball realm. And by the way, this is just my little info snack. I've called him Bear, and fun little info snack, I guess, is actually Barry was called Bear. And it was,
Really?
it was on his baseball application that it asked what his name is, and it also said, "What's your nickname?" and said Bear on it. So
Yeah.
really, it wasn't me that called him that. It was his own nickname, but I thought you guys might like to know that.
Yeah, and so that's
Yeah.
amazing, right? I mean, but it goes to show you the how behavior those learned behaviors are just kind of like building blocks, right?
Yes.
They just keep stacking on top of each other, and they become familiar. They become so familiar to each of us, like it's like a muscle memory, right?
Mhm.
But when you add, other activities to it, such as, problems of, crimes or anything to that effect, well, obviously, then you're going to kind of revert back to some of the things you may or may not know. So
Mhm.
it's pretty interesting. And so I saw somebody say, "How did I get this information?" Well, I went there. I'm just going to answer that question quickly. And I hung out with his friends, uh, a lot of them. And I got to know him through them. And they took me around town and showed me all the places that we just watched. And that's one of the things you do in what they call, a victimology and a behavioral analysis. In order, like I said, in order to understand the hunter, you first have to understand where they hunt. And
Mhm.
there's a lot more that I have that obviously, as time goes on, if it's necessary, but I'm sure the investigators have it, that we're not going to put out into the public arena right now. But, you know, my assessment there was at some point he started out a pretty good guy. Okay? And I think there were some family pressures going on. I learned that his two sisters, their father just ignored them. Okay? But with Barry, he he could just walk on water. I mean, what are your thoughts? That any other thoughts? I don't want to go off into a tangent there, but what else was coming to your mind as you were watching some of this stuff?
Oh, well, regarding that, yeah, I could see one of the things that stuck out regarding that it really is the strong character he's developed. And that was interesting is he always had a girl on his arm, even
Yeah,
before Suzanne.
Karen said that too. Yeah, go.
Yeah, that's what I think
Yeah.
Karen was the one who said that brought that up. And I thought that's very interesting. It doesn't surprise me, but that's very
Hmm.
interesting. And it speaks to the chatter about his girlfriend or his current girlfriend, or if he's still with her. I don't know. You might have to keep me up to speed on that. But it also speaks to that. I mean, has Barry ever really been alone?
Yeah, no, and the answer is no. The answer is no. So yeah, good point. So yeah, and I picked up on that too. His insecurity is incredible. Okay? And in fact, we learned that Suzanne had a boyfriend. Okay? And Barry basically, bullied him out of the relationship and pushed him away. Okay? And he had one girlfriend at the time. But because there's a 4 year age gap here, right?
Mhm.
So while Suzanne's in middle school, that school there, she's able to kind of catch the athletes working out in those fields behind the middle school. So he kind of was maybe something of a jock kind of situation. And so when she got to school, she became a cheerleader for a little bit. But where their romance blossomed, he worked at the golf course behind where she lived. She lived on that golf course.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry. No,
No,
go ahead.
go. No,
I was just
no,
when you
you're,
said golf course.
yeah.
When you said golf course, I just remember having you having that on your screen about that letter. Believe that was last year that he brought it up. The letter about the card that she wrote him, and it's talked about the first kiss. That's where I got the Kleenex out. When that part got it, I was messaging my husband to come in with the Kleenex. But um, Yeah. And your point about the kind of like jock kind of, one of the things that came up, is Barry's older than me. So, but I can understand that actually he's quite close to my sister's age. I have two older sisters. But what comes to mind is, that the car and driving around and, got the girl on your arm and you're an athlete. And, he does, he carries that on even still, it seems from, my opinion of what I've seen, the same kind of thing. It's that same kind of mentality. And to speak, we're talking about patterns, connecting dots. People have patterns, right? So I can see as a child, he has all this experience with the tigers and the baseball and his landscaping. It's just like a pattern throughout his life. It's really hard to break a pattern, right? I mean, it's even if we can talk about going to work out. If you never worked out before, or if you've always work out, that's your pattern, right? And it may be hard to break to not do it or to do it. So it's the same. I was just speaking to patterns. It's just everybody has a pattern. So the male kind of macho, that's how he comes across. The macho male can get any woman type of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I see is kind of that. And it started when he's little.
Yeah, that guy. No, it did. And if we think about it, right, because we've got this idea that says, okay, intensity, i.e. home environment, right? There are some other things that, it's not really important to get into. It is from an investigative aspect, but, as a whole, the intensity is, what drove him to the ballpark, right? And at the ballpark, it's kind of this idea that presents itself that says, okay, I can excel here. Okay. But they're in one thought that we have to focus on is this idea of, even though he's focusing on that particular challenge, i.e. playing baseball, okay, baseball becomes, somewhat of the vent, okay, for all of this intensity. Now he could be projecting from his backyard, all of the batting cage stuff and stuff, but he could be swinging that bat saying, I don't like certain things, right? And that's towards the intensity. Okay. Well, that kind of evolves itself. And we think about the Cutlass, right? On Friday nights. Remember the red Cutlass? Okay. Okay. Well, he's driving around and, I don't know if you caught that part, but he's driving around. He has a dumbbell in one arm, right?
I'm sorry.
Right?
Like,
I know. No, I'm like, who does that? Who does that? Right? He's out there doing this, okay, while driving, okay, and then I don't know how he switches, but I know he was doing it with the right arm for sure, okay, because I talked to people, okay, and he would pull up, okay, and he would try to do some quick dumbbells, and then he would put his arm on the window, to show his guns, right? And all the girls were like, oh, oh Barry, okay, and this is that intensity required him, okay, to do that, okay? And so then all of that was focused on a baseball career, okay, to get to that baseball career, right? But he was drafted in the 42nd round in baseball, okay? That means there's like 10,000 other high school kids in front of you. Okay. A lot. Let's say just a lot. Okay. So he's really not that good. I mean, go ahead.
No, what comes to mind is I believe it was something even not that fast.
Yeah, he was like number, yeah, no, he was like number 800 and something. He had full ride, he had some full ride scholarships. Okay? But the Toronto Blue Jays offered him $20,000 as a signing opportunity. to play in the minor leagues. They're not even the minor leagues yet, right? There's kind of like, T-ball, okay, to Major League Baseball.
Like a farm team.
Yeah, but it's a farm team.
Okay.
Okay. So it's like a notch below that notch. Okay. There's like 3 levels. Okay. So he turns it down. He turns all of this college down and grabs the $20,000. Okay. Now that was interesting for me to learn. Okay. Because it showed an intensity to money.
Yes.
Okay. He walked away, and by the way, he went to Alberta, Canada, for yeah, I know, right? You need to look him up there. And
where we need to go in Alberta. Did you go Lethbridge?
The farm team up there. There's a farm team.
Lethbridge or it wasn't Calgary, was it?
Let me find out. Let me see if I can find out.
Maybe,
but I'll
the comments will.
Yeah, and all of our Canadian people, thank you for being here. We love you guys. You're awesome. I'll find out. So don't let me forget.
Okay.
And so he goes. He turns all of that down, and it becomes a financial situation for him. And I know you've pulled a whole bunch of dots together on some of the things that he's done. Financially, share some of the ideas that you have in relationship to, some of that stuff that you may have discovered that I'm not even considering right now.
I can speak a little bit just to the recent events, even with the selling of the home and the property.
Okay.
What was interesting to me was dumping the land, because he did not come out ahead on that property. Mm-hmm. He was under than what he bought it for. And, you would think in a property like that, why would you dump it and not sit on it? And, could be your nest egg.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he was, I think it was under by 15 grand. And that's not even including closing costs, lawyer costs. So that kind of surprised me. But now that you speak to this 20,000 and chose that over the career in baseball, if that's what I'm understanding you're saying.
Yeah, it was a signing bonus if he went to, and the name of the team was the Medicine Hat Blue Jays.
Oh, Medicine Hat.
Yeah, they're no longer there though. The team is even cut from Major League Baseball. So you know the area then? Tell us about
Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat is not that big really, but it's warmer, one of the warmer places in Alberta. So in summertime gets a lot hotter than it does Calgary. It's that I don't know a heck of too much, because not a lot of people say, hey, let's go to Medicine Hat for the weekend. Right? Like, this is not something that you would choose, but basically that's pretty much what I know about that. I've been there, but let me just see the population of that, because he seems to like a little, smaller. So 63,000 in Medicine Hat. So not huge. And back then would probably, I don't know, maybe be 40, 30.
Yeah, this would have been 87.
Yeah, so maybe 20,000 people, might be just, smaller. So interesting though with that money. And it kind of reminds me even that June 1st, I believe it was, with the conservatorship or whatever you called it. I think I have the timeline with me. Just see.
Perfect. I knew you would.
If we needed to reference something, but it does. It really speaks to that. Not only that, yeah, I guess that's what I can say about that. The 20,000 surprises me, but now it doesn't. If we're to connect that, it's important to him. Money is important to him.
Yeah, very. In fact, there's some other things that he did. So when he was hunting, he would kill animals, and then he would skin them.
Yeah.
Right. And then he would sell the pelts for $30 a piece. Okay. Right. The point being, obviously, he's making bad choices even at that young age, where he's got full ride scholarships. You can always go into Major League Baseball, right? Mm-hmm. but it was the money that drove him to go to the baseball, and he was only there for less than a year. And as soon as he got some type of injury, and I don't know what it is yet, okay, I'm sure somebody on that is buddies with him will put it in the chat. Maybe we'll find out. But at some point, okay, he got hurt and they cut him. They said, "You're out." Okay. So it was at that point, obviously, from there, he had to fall into college, and that's where he met back up with Suzanne in Purdue. Okay, because she was 4 years younger, and so he was ahead of her. He was out playing ball for a little bit, that 1 year, and so by the time she got up there, he was already in Purdue in the horticulture program, and then she came up right behind him. Okay, and they rekindled their situation. So, but there was also some other things that I discovered. One of them is he befriended an elderly gentleman in Alexandria who was behind on his mortgage. And he approached this gentleman and offered to pay the mortgage on the house. Yeah. And then he ended up with the house. So it was interesting. Now, this, he built a barn back there. The house has since burnt down. But it was those kind of things, that's later on in his life, he still had this idea of, finding the money, right? And there's other things that happened out there. I mean, if people go look through some of the city's lawsuits, look through the public records in Cicero, in Alexandria, a variety of other places.
Yeah.
If you follow that trail, you'll probably find some things. And it'll be interesting to see what people find. So there seems to be a pattern.
Can you speak a little bit more about this older gentleman? Not about the older gentleman, but the situation around it. This is intriguing to me because he offered to pay a mortgage for this gentleman. Were Suzanne and Barry married at this point, or was this before?
It was after. Yeah, it was not. I'm still getting getting close to that one. So let's you and I talk offline.
Yeah, we'll just move along. That's okay.
Okay, move along. Nothing to
moving along.
moving along. Right. So now also the other thing now, right? Staying with this idea of gimme. Okay. That was one of the things we constantly heard from Suzanne's friends. Was she did not want to leave, but there was so much pressure and embarrassment around some of the things he was doing, okay, that, he convinced her that, let's go. And literally they packed up a vehicle that looked like the Beverly Hillbillies. I've seen the pictures. And the other thing that Barry was doing is he was selling antlers to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I'm not talking a few antlers. Go ahead, say it.
I remember a picture of them in front of that.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Where he's got the two of them there, right?
Yes.
Well, he's been selling antlers. He like bartering. Okay. Well, that's what a hunter does, right? Right. And I mean, I'm not talking a few. I'm talking about hundreds. Okay, hundreds. And I've seen stuff where this guy had just a seat full of this stuff. But when they left Colorado, or excuse me, Indiana to go to Colorado, Suzanne was embarrassed by the way he just threw everything up on the back of this this flatbed trailer and his truck. It was really fascinating to learn more about him. You know,
I find that bizarre.
I did too. Well, I did. Go ahead.
From my understanding, from what I've been told about Barry, that people who know him, he's very meticulous. He's very meticulous. So I find it interesting that he would chuck everything like the Griswolds on top of the vehicle and head to Colorado.
Well, you see, and that's an interesting part of personality, right? We live 3 lives: our personal life, our private life, and our secret life. Okay? See, Suzanne saw all that secret life. Okay, this is the guy piling stuff on, certain things, right? But he's meticulous about his prize killings, i.e., deer, elk, all those heads. Okay, in the basement of his house in Indiana, it was like a museum, okay, of trophies. Okay? That's very consistent for that type of personality. Okay. In the secret life, though, okay, there's a lot of unstructured organization going on. So there's organized and disorganized, right? So in some things, there's the perception and that they were the happiest couple that ever existed. Okay. That's the public persona.
Right.
The private persona behind that is this yin and yang about, Suzanne never wanting to leave Indiana. Okay. But, the husband saying, no, we're out of here. Okay. We're out of here. Okay? You know what's really striking? Did you see any area to ride a mountain bike around her house?
No, sir, I did not.
Either did I. Okay. I find that's fascinating that he has projected her as being an avid mountain biker. Okay. Yet all her girlfriends said she used to love to hang out and chat, go to yoga. She was the gal and the girl who would call you up and say, what are you doing? Come on, let's go. Okay. She was always first in line to remember everything you told her in the last conversation. Okay. That's Suzanne. And this is firsthand from her girlfriends. Okay. We went to dinner. Karen, myself, went to dinner with them. Okay. And they expressed everything that's being projected is not who she was. So this is what, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So what? Go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
Just because you just mentioned the bike, I want to say that I found out a little info snack today from your video back in January with Greg and Steve, and you guys were talking about and Dean. You were talking about the bike, and I didn't know there were bikes plural. So I want to point this one thing out, if that's cool.
Of course.
This avid biker, like you guys had mentioned, took the other bike. So there was 2 bikes from my understanding. One was the expensive bike and one not so expensive. So this is what I want to point out that I quickly connected today. It's Mother's Day, supposedly, right? On Mother's Day, it's a special day. If a woman like Suzanne or myself or anybody else is going to hop on a bike that day, especially on that day, it's going to be on the awesome bike. Right? Little boost for the day. Suzanne did things out of joy, from my understanding. It was about joy, right?
Yeah, good
Just
point.
an observation, in my opinion. I think she would have chosen the other bike. Unless, and let's be fair, unless she loved that bike, kind of like you have a bunch of new teddy bears, but you want the old ratty one, right? But my understanding, the and this is my question to you too, which is important. When was that crappy bike or lesser bike, I should say, purchased? I think you guys said a week before. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. We understood that there were potentially 2 bicycles. So there was something essentially that there is some information that provided a belief system that he bought a really nice bike, a very nice bike.
Okay.
Right? And that this other bike was allegedly purchased for parts for the really nice bike.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
I don't know how that all correlates together, because if it is a crappy bike, well, you're not going to use crappy parts for a really nice bike, number one.
Or car, for that matter, if it was the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like that guy, give him an A for effort or an E for effort. Okay. But, okay. Yeah. We all fell off a turnip truck, right? Okay. So the next thing then is this idea that says, okay, well, which bike do the cops have? We've heard different things, right? Then they're not going to let it out, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't want them to. Don't let it out.
Yeah, these 2 bikes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know when this bike was purchased, and there's a reason why I want to know.
Yeah, and I think collectively we'll find out.
Yeah, because also it's been mentioned on my channel, and I've been harping about it for a while, that there was a fire.
Yeah, I remember that.
On Monday before she went missing. So if it's about a week that he bought that bike, well, some people may know and some people may not know. On Monday, let me just get my timeline out. On Monday, May the 4th, there was a substantial fire right next to the Morphew home. In fact, it's around the triangle.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So what piqued my interest was this bike. If there were 2 bikes and this bike was just purchased, then lo and behold, a fire happened, which I will say that it was it was an obstacle to find out about the fire. It was an obstacle. I did find out, and Barry was in fact a volunteer at this fire. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. So was it around the same time he bought this bike? Is my natural question. But well.
Yeah, I mean, just this is my own opinion, okay, based on my own experience and intelligence and just my own research into this. Okay. She never went on a bike, right? And if prove it.
Nobody saw her on a bike ride either.
Right. So this idea that says, well, yeah, she did. Oh, okay. Well, I say she didn't. So we both can't prove something we didn't see. But I can tell you this: evidence speaks for itself. Okay? And that's why you have to take a case like this and say, okay, what kind of evidence do we have? And Mike's talked about evidence. Okay, it's kind of like when you see a swimming pool in the backyard of your house, and you see these wet footprints going from the pool to the house. Okay, did somebody get out of the pool? That's the question.
Right.
Okay? So that's called circumstantial evidence. Okay. Right. So if this bicycle, presented itself, then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, using the pool analogy, who introduced it? Who introduced the thought of a bicycle? And as an investigator, that's the first place you start. And we know how that was introduced. Okay. So we have to ask ourselves, did the neighbor get this idea herself? Oh, maybe she's on a bike. No, she was told, go back and see if her bike is missing. Okay. Well, why? Why? And that's why one of the things I wanted to find out, where she lived. How often would Suzanne go on bike rides around here? Okay. And somebody saying, well, tell us who it is. No, I'm not going to tell you who it is. Okay. I'll just tell you they exist. And if Barry's watching this, he knows who they are. Okay. And that's as simple as that. Okay. What I'm interested in though is, his meticulous personality type.
Yes.
Has allowed him to control the narrative. Isn't that an interesting correlation here, where a year later, and who's controlling the narrative still? It's not the cops. Okay. I mean, we love him, don't misunderstand me, right? But he's still going to the gym. He's still lifting that dumbbell in that car, learned behavior. Okay. He's still hunting. Okay. He's still intense. Okay.
And he still has a woman.
Yeah, he had two of them. I don't know if he's still got them. I haven't, dug into that. I've been too busy trying to figure out, who the victim is. And because that's what this is about. It's about Suzanne, right? You and I have been, on this thing from day one. And oh, by the way, Andy says hi to everybody. And he sends his love and to the family, okay, from the family. And that guy, man, I'll tell you, if you could have a better brother, he's the guy. He's the greatest brother going. And we ate all their hot dogs, and I had to. He says, you know what's going to happen to you at 2 a.m? I said, I have no idea. He says, you're going to want another one. I'm like, oh my gosh. And the root beer is unbelievable. The root beer is unbelievable. Then they sell it, in 12 packs and, whatever. But if you get, guys and gals, if you go to Gene's Root Beer in Indiana, oh my gosh, it's going to change your life. It really will change your life. He is such a humble guy too. He's real quiet, but he is focused for his dad and his sister. So don't anybody underestimate that guy still, because he's under the radar right now. I'm sure he's got his own reasons, but he does send his love. He wanted me to tell everybody that. And he said I could share his picture. So I did that. So
yeah, I saw that picture. What a wonderful picture of you two.
Well, he's a good man. I made a promise to his dad.
Yeah.
And we're going to follow through. So let's take some questions, Linda, or what do you want? Yeah, go.
One more thing about that, because I really have been thinking about, because it's been 1 year before we take questions. We've seen actions and we've seen inactions in the past year, right? Mm-hmm. And because you're talking of Andy too, it brought up something in me. Like, here's two people. Okay, we see Andy and we see Barry, and we see the actions that were taken by each. Okay. And then we're also seeing what's not happening with Barry. And I thought to myself, everybody deals with tragedy differently. Some the same, some not the same, everybody different. But when you're passionate about something, or any of us, me, you, anybody out here, when you're passionate about something, there's nothing stopping you. So we take Andy, who's a very private person, very humble person, very private, and he got out there and he put those boots on and he hit that ground. Okay, why? He's passionate about his sister. He's passionate about bringing her home.
Right.
We see Barry. The passion that he has is different. The passion that we see, in my opinion, is protection of himself. When you are passionate about Suzanne, you're going to do what it takes. Forget the people, forget the YouTubers, forget the whatever. I'm finding my wife. I'm doing it now. I don't care.
Yep.
So when I see a 25 25-second video. Okay, that still chaps me to this day, and everybody in here can understand.
By the way,
Yep.
guess who orchestrated it?
Tell me.
Trevor Noel.
Okay, let's go on this. Trevor
was behind the camera.
I knew that. And
Okay.
you want to know, let's recap for a sec, because we got to
love it.
We got to recap this because this is important. The day that video went out, and I've said this before, but it's been a long time, so we need to refresh our memories. The day that video, 25-second video went out is also the day it was posted on. Trevor Noel put the Facebook post, right? That was the week after, on Sunday, May the 17th. Now, what also happened that day was the $100,000 reward, which was then matched by $100,000. Okay. And also, let me just double check here. So the 25-second video, the same time the whatchamacallit comes up, the reward, and Barry's videos posted, then Trevor goes silent forevermore after that, right?
Interesting,
And the abduction theory happens. So all these happen same day, same time. Let's put it out there. Mountain lion no longer works, in my opinion. Abduction takes place, 25-second video. And your guys on there, you know, I call him Coop because you call him Coop.
Coop's awesome.
Greg, Steve,
just spend a week with him this week. Go ahead.
That's awesome. I can't wait to meet those guys again. Greg, Steve, and Dean were talking about this too, about this 25-second video and how important it is. And they said something very similar about, hey, 25-second video, you have control of how long it is, right? You're going to choose 25 seconds to find your wife. How many shots did it take?
And actually, Barry didn't want to do it. He said it's too early.
Oh, right. It's too soon. It's too soon. Just like being right.
Yeah,
but he was happy with it. He had to have been happy with it in order to say, okay, we're done.
It's totally spontaneous. 100% spontaneous. Trevor, it was Trevor's idea. Barry was reluctant. And this is coming from a firsthand source.
Okay.
Who was there.
Okay.
And said that the conversation was essentially, you know, look, you've got to do this. Okay. And he was like, well, no, it's still too early. Still too early. You know, we don't know. Okay. And so that's why the statement is so disjointed. Okay? Because he was just kind of processing it as he was making it.
Well, I think it's a gift in some aspects. However,
of course, for you know, for today, in retrospect, I'm sure he's going, oh boy, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then the other side of that coin is most of the time, you know, as investigators, you know, we want to script that. I mean, that's why there's a whole bunch. Yeah, you want a forensic psychologist coming in and saying, look, you know, if this is an abduction, then let's go here, let's go here, let's go there. Okay. But he did that independent of any law enforcement insight at all.
Well, and that's what was weird, because typically you're going to say, you know, okay, if it was an abduction, exactly that. I would think that the authorities would help you on that so that you don't put her in a more dangerous situation. And we see something completely different than we've ever seen before. It wasn't a live interview. It was just 25 seconds, get it out there, talk about the reward, you know, and that's about it, right? Now, imagine a wife of 26 years coming back home, if it was an abduction, or, you know, coming back home and seeing this 25-second video of a man you've been with all your adult life.
Yeah, no, and realize that the house, you know, was up for sale, and, you know, shortly thereafter a phone call was going to be made, and to your dad, i.e. Eugene, you know, from
Yeah,
Barry
3 weeks later.
saying, quote, "I loved your daughter," past tense. And the dad picked that up right away and said, "What do you mean you love my daughter?" Okay.
Yeah.
And that's when he tried to ask for, the guardianship papers so that
Yeah.
they could finish the sale of the house in Indiana. There was somebody back there, involved in that. So, and there's also another character. I love our community here because, I see Gonzo's in here and that kid's just been, boots just grinding it
Pounding the
there.
pavement. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, great kid. And so, but he throws up Sal. So I don't know if folks have heard that name, but so Sal is the guy that put up the other $100,000, and he lives in Indiana as well. Okay, and he's kind of a mentor to Barry when it comes to finances. I could tell you more about him, but I won't right now. So there's these ideas that keep presenting themselves around him. But what is consistent here and what has struck me, really what has struck me on this trip to Indiana is when I drove by Barry's mom's house.
Yes.
Okay. There's no ribbons on the trees. And I thought to myself, wow. Okay. So let me get this right. The girlhood home that she grew up in, everybody on that block, she doesn't even live there anymore. They have her ribbons on their trees in that neighborhood. Yet for some reason on that side of the family, not the Morphew side, the Morphew side's out there, or the Mormon side's out there, organizing searches, the intensity of the brother, the family, everybody's out there just going to town, trying to find their sister.
Mm-hmm.
And yet on the other side of the coin, you can't even put a ribbon. I'm not a rocket scientist, but that speaks volumes.
It does. First thing, yeah.
Just saying. That's my own opinion. It's my own opinion. So where do you want to go, Miss Linda? You want to take some questions, or you got some other thoughts?
You take the questions, and then we can go from there. It's all good.
Okay. So first of all, let me say thank you to everybody that's here tonight. If you haven't had a chance to see the first video that we put up, later on, get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
We're grateful that you're here and all of Miss Linda's folks. The other thing is, I just want to acknowledge there are a lot of people in Colorado who have been doing a tremendous amount of searching day in, day out, and I can't name all of you. I know some of the names that always come to the surface, AK and, just, Tom Songs and all you guys out there that are hitting the pavement. Yeah, you've been there from day one. Lauren Sharf, she's amazing. Okay? And her heart's been in this, from day one. The more I learned about Suzanne actually being, and, just kind of sensing, one of the things that you want to do as an investigator is the victimology. And once you understand the victim, then you understand the hunter. And it's critical that we do that. And while everybody's been focusing in Colorado, okay, they haven't really dug into who Suzanne Morphew is, Suzanne Mormon. Okay. Right from her childhood all the way up to her, Purdue University. I stood at the church they were married at. And I had to ask myself, all these questions kept coming to my mind about, holy smokes, how do two people go from, love and commitment and marriage and just, till death do us part, and then one of us goes missing or somebody goes missing.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are a year later talking about it. Has anybody seen any indication that there's been a lot done from that other side of the coin that I can tell? For me, anyway, I can't see it yet. Okay. Hopefully this week, maybe something will happen. Maybe there'll be a positive turnaround. Then he'll, get off the Bobcat and start looking for Suzanne. But let's all hope, right? Let's all hope. So let's go over here. Let me, D-Man, if you're back there, let's pull a couple questions up if we can. All right. We got a lot of comments here. And by the way, thank you everybody for being here tonight. You're absolutely amazing. Let's see here. One question is, this is for you, Linda. Look at this.
Oh, no. No, you get this one. You get this one.
Why wouldn't Barry let her go home to Indiana? That's a great question. We talked, Karen and I talked to, one of her girlfriends that, was taking the walk with her during, her cancer. Right. And, at some point there was, he kind of stuck around a little bit, right, for the cancer stuff. And he was there supporting her initially. Right. But I think there, from my indication, from what I can tell, there came a time where, he just got exhausted. And I think, when he got exhausted, he checked out. And that's where he would just go and go hunting. And he would leave for just, immense amount of times. And she would be lonely and home and stranded and, recovering. And then, you just wonder because the cancer really didn't resurface. And she had Hodgkin's lymphoma. And, initially when it first presented, she beat it. And then, Karen and I were talking, was it stress of the move to Colorado that maybe, and by all means, I'm not going to go into any medical lanes. If any of you here in the chat that are, medical professionals, kind of weigh in here, let us know. But maybe, Karen was thinking, that stress could have kicked in. I don't tell a lot of people, my sweetheart's going to get mad at me here in a minute, but my sweetheart is an ovarian cancer survivor. And so we've been down that road together as a family. Okay? And so, and others, many other you women out there, God bless you. My mom passed away in 1984 from breast cancer. So I understand, I was a young, youngster. She got it in 1972, but, she passed away years later. Long story short, she was going through that walk by herself in Colorado. So I'm just curious as to, did that play a role for her to say, I want to go home. I want to get out of here. Okay. I don't know. I mean, those are certainly things I think that we, consider, right?
And maybe the comfort in going home, there's comfort in going home and feeling, she's feeling lonely out in Colorado. Going back home would give her comfort and, just comfort, right? Being home and being able to heal without those other emotions. You're already going through a lot.
So Janelle, I think, gives us our answer here. Stress doesn't help, but Hodgkin's keeps coming back no matter what. Okay, so there we go. Maybe there was something else going on there. What else is on your mind, guys? Why do you think Barry surrounds himself with meth heads? Does he surround himself with meth heads? I don't know. That's a great
Barry
question.
was calling Morgan and Jeffrey Puckett meth heads on the phone, right? So there's remember that when he said they're both meth heads and I gave him a job and I offered them money.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, hey, if you guys are out there and at any time you want to meet, just ring me up. I'll sit down with you and we can talk. Let's see what else we got here. Where did it go? he surrounds himself with scapegoats. Interesting. That's more of an observation, right? Definitely interesting, Melissa. Thank you. He could. Where's the mountain lion? Where's the mountain lion emoji? Okay, Dillan, we need a mountain lion. Linda, you need one on your channel too.
I do have.
What?
I do have.
That's awesome. Okay,
I actually have the mountain lion with the bobcat.
It's a crime, and the interview room are both going to create a mountain lion emoji. Thank you, Robin. We appreciate that. Here's a comment. His dad was brainwashing Barry with baseball. Debbie, that's a very interesting statement, because they're everything that I learned this week anyway, and others hopefully now will figure other stuff out as well. That's the one thing I love about this community here, is there are so many smart people.
Yes.
And man, and well, Miss Linda, you're a perfect example of that. I mean, I sit there every time you do a Lori Vallow, porta potty, I'm sitting at home with Karen going, let's get the popcorn. Linda's on fire.
Did you see that last one?
Oh my gosh. It was awesome. It was like, wow. Okay. Very good. So
but our community is so smart. They're so smart.
They're so smart. And that's one of the things that, what is, my Dillan was here. Okay. Right here. Dylan's telling me to put this up. Okay. Thank you, Super Sleuth. Appreciate that. What was Suzanne's relationship like with Barry's mom? Did you check if Suzanne did relay for life? Her doctors were there on her cancer, or DTRS. Her daughters were there on her cancer journey. Yeah, so mixed emotions on that. I think Barry's mom is a beautiful person. Everything that I have learned is she's quiet, and I think she was also under a tremendous amount of pressure from Dad, her husband. And so everybody's described her as just being a very sweet spirit, and Suzanne also loved her very much. And they had a very good relationship. Here's another one. Shelby Martin, thank you. Love our Linda and Chris. You're pretty great too. Well, of course. Of course. Thank you so much, Shelby.
Hi,
I appreciate
Shelby.
that. Let me go back here. I've missed all these things, the super sticker things here.
Okay.
Billy, being used goods is a heartbreaking feeling. Yeah, well, yeah, wow. What do you say to that, Linda? Right?
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
It's horrible. Let's see here. Do you think he buried her under a tree that he would have planted? Dawn. Wow. Let's hope he didn't. Let's hope he didn't. Great question. Thank you for asking, Dawn. He certainly is skilled at doing that. That's for sure.
I'm going to add to the skill just for a minute.
Yeah, go.
If we go back to the passionate thing that I was saying earlier, nothing will stop you. Barry has some serious skills, as you outlined in your premiere, as we know, hunter, athlete, tracker, right? He has skills. He would have been an asset, such an asset to these searches.
Oh, yeah, great point. That is a great point. Yeah, he could have been the point guy, right?
Yet the choice was.
Do you think the information that the lady who heard the noise from the machinery is important? Yeah, I think because it's a time frame.
Yeah.
Right. And remember, we have Morgan, who said that she heard the truck. She told Lauren Sharp, I heard the truck out inside in front of the house at 4 a.m. Okay. So that's an hour earlier than what Barry says he left. Liz, thank you so much. You're so sweet. Quick question. We see the BM cleans up very, very well, OCD style, right? So did anyone check BM's mom's house in Indiana? Really, the area BM would hunt behind the woods? Sorry if someone answered already. Yes. I spent time in those fields. And yes, that is his favorite area. In fact, one time he hung, I don't want to say it, but he put some things out there. And by the way, that area that I talk about at the very end, that is his favorite hunting ground. When he goes to Indiana, he stays at that house and he goes in those fields right behind her house. So if you ever want to find Barry, that's where he's going to be. That's his favorite hunting ground. Okay. So there you go. Retired RN3. Thank you for your service. Amazing. We appreciate you. This is possibly the most significant video and chat I've seen on Suzanne. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kindness and that statement. I could not have thought of having a better friend here than Miss Linda to think through this, and it's a crime. It's a pleasure that you compliment us that way. Thank you. Melissa Ann, could he have put her in the wall? Man, that's another one of those. I don't know. Anything's possible, Melissa, but let's hope not, right? Let's hope not. Mary Rose, where does Trevor live? Did Trevor bring the body back? Yikes. Great question. So what I found really interesting when you see his homes, Trevor lived right next door all that time. Yeah. In Indiana, his mom. So, and I think they may still own that house. So his childhood home, they've been right next door, and it is an amazing. He's the first guy that shows up the day, Suzanne goes missing. Yeah, I don't know. Great question. What is relationship? Question: what is relationship with Barry and his mom? They're tight, very close, very close. Mimi J, and thank you, Mimi J. Isn't she one of the best? She's awesome. One of our mods.
Yes, yeah.
If they know where Suzanne is buried, isn't it possible that girls would come back to visit that site? It's possible. It's possible, but more so the hunter. You would see that typically in that behavior versus the girl's behavior. This one's from Canada. You got to take this, Linda.
Did the new house being built down by the river get checked? Yes. That was one of the first things that happened. I believe it was the concrete was poured on the Monday the 11th, but by when was it, Chris? I have it here. By the time it was checked.
Yep, it was quickly. It was
fairly quickly. They cordoned off the house and searched it for 11 days. But before that, I think it was that week. I feel like the concrete was poured on Monday, and within days it was started to be checked.
Yeah, and what was interesting about that, they had to have a search warrant to dig that all up.
That's right.
So at some point, we're going to see what those affidavits say, where we're going to learn what that probable cause was to dig that area up. It's very interesting.
Seeing that information.
Yeah. What would have been the earliest could he have killed her? Do we have time to go to Indiana? Would he have had time to go to Indiana and back? Well, I don't think he would have had time because, things just kind of, would have been quick.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, though, it doesn't mean other things could have happened post incident. Right. Would you agree with that, Linda?
Yes, I would agree with that. It's been a year. Lots can happen.
Yep. Thank you, Dawn. Vanessa, how many hours away in Colorado to the home in Indiana? Dillan, can somebody figure that? Can you figure that out, Linda? Do you have a calculator?
I think it was. I want to keep saying 6 hours, but I might be wrong. That might be more than that.
Yeah, Brady. Brineville says here.
Alexandria?
Yep.
Somebody else might beat me to the punch here. The interesting thing about the United States is that you guys duplicate your cities. And we don't in Canada that I know of.
There's a lot of things we do down here that are nuts.
And it's like three different, it's like you ran out of names here. Okay.
Yeah, well,
fine.
while you're
18 hours. It's 18 hours. So
okay, so that's 2 days.
Trek.
Yeah, that's a drive. Yep. So there you go. 2 days, Vanessa. Thank you for that question. It's awesome. Appreciate it. And somebody, I just saw it go by, but I'll just say it, that, somebody thought that the phone, Suzanne's phone, had pinged in Indiana. And then the question was, could Trevor have taken it back, taken the phone back? And I thought, well, that's an interesting thought, right?
That's interesting.
That's a thought, 18 hours, I don't know. But I think the PD got a lot of those electronics pretty quickly. When he came back, immediately they impounded both of his vehicles and they took all of his electronics, including the girls.
And they asked about the video around the area as well on the 8th, between the 8th and 12th, right?
Yeah, and nothing was working, right? It was all disabled. Okay. Well, if you look at the video that I just put up, when I went to Suzanne's house, guess what was disabled? Yeah, exactly. It was all the wires were hanging out of the electronics there out front. So it seems to be a pattern. Chris, is there any chance that's why you're here tonight? Because you're like, guys, we're going to have to give Miss Linda another name other than just Miss Linda, maybe pattern analysis, something. I don't know. Chris, is there any chance Barry could be connected to now that left in there abruptly as they have? No, I don't think so, Emerald Eyes. And the reason being, he's just too disorganized for that. Even though he looks organized as as somebody, he's meticulous in what he does. But in his other parts of his life, in his public persona, he's very organized. In his secret life, he's extremely disorganized. In fact, he's so disorganized, he gets things done so quickly that he makes a lot of mistakes while doing it. I think the wall in Broomfield is a perfect example.
That's what I thought right away.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of that personality type. So in order for him to have pulled that off in Delphi, in my personal opinion, I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong a lot. Okay. But my experience tells me in this situation, he's not connected. But anyway, Tyler says, please share how well you received received by the locals in Indiana. I don't know. We went to dinner. They loved us. It was great. It was great being up there and learning a lot. 12-step comment. Susan Memorial Site says, beloved mother, but no mention about being a wife. Thank you for that comment, 12-step. And thank you for always being here. You are an amazing human being and very valued to this channel. Thank you. Boo Boo Bear, she's back. It's not the job, it's the money. Yeah, I after leaving, I gotta roll with you on that. So interesting. Christine, question. Do you think if he's done what you think to Susan, then he could have done it before? Let me start with Miss Linda. What do you think based on the research and insight that you've always come up with here?
I might have to plead the fifth on that one.
No wrong answer, by the way.
No, and I teeter. I do teeter because there's a few things I think about. I don't think after a 25-year marriage that this is just a surprise as to his behavior. I think it could have very well been something very sudden, but I think this behavior has been a pattern for a very long time. And so perhaps it had just escalated, that kind of thing. Has he done it before, depending on what it is, right? I don't know. I teeter. How about you?
So there's what they call the homicide triad. There are three angles to it, and there's been a lot of research put into this, into these three behavior patterns. The first one is cruelty to animals. Okay. The second is some type of historical aspect or a fascination with fire. Okay. And then the third, okay, in the third is excessive bedwetting, but not normal child bedwetting. Okay, where children just wet the bed. Okay, that's part of growing up where it's just
Bladder's
normal.
not big enough. And
Yeah, exactly. Okay, mom, fixing the sheets and that stuff. That's normal. Okay, but excessive where it is over and over and over and over, even during nap time, regular sleep time, nap time, sleep time. And there's a tremendous amount of history or research behind that. Okay, so if you think about that, right? If what we want to do, Christine, is look to see how many of those three triangles that of that triangle do we have. Well, and that was one of the questions I wanted to kind of get into. I was hoping to find his kindergarten teacher, to be honest with you, okay? To find out, if he had accidents during school, okay? Because it sounded like Miss Linda's may have the fire side of things. Okay? He definitely was taking animals, and at a very young age, figuring out how to make money off of the killings. And he would literally hand skin them. Okay. And then he would sell the pelts for about $30 a piece. Okay. So, and continued, as I see Sophie H just commenting here, the continued bedwetting has to do a lot with the stress of a child. And by the way, any professional, folks here who know better on that subject, of course, on this channel, you can always weigh in. Okay, you can always weigh in. If this has been your career path, by all means, weigh in. So what's interesting is if any of those patterns, I think for me, the most concerning was the fact that, when I heard that he would personally, kill the animals and then, not eat the animal. Okay. But that it's a different level to, skin an animal, right? It's a different level. Back in the day, they would do that to survive. Okay. For pelts and blankets and that type of stuff. But, in the 21st century, you're doing it to make a buck. Okay. Well, wow. That may be a different level. By the way, I hope he's watching tonight, because he's in Indiana right now, in Peru, working on an amphitheater up there. He rented a Bobcat up there, and he's doing a big excavation work up there. And so, Barry, if you're watching, okay, we're still looking for Suzanne. Love to talk to you, bud. Okay, and help out. I find it's interesting that he's not in Salida this week. That he's up at I think Russ Beller's, a buddy of his, I guess, I don't know, but he's in Peru. And he's not going to be there. I suspect he won't be there this week. Okay, if he's up there working on this amphitheater. So, hunting for food is one thing, but hunting to, cut animals up and make monies off of them, that's a total different level. So, is he capable? Go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, and you finish your thoughts. Okay.
Is he capable? Yes. Do we know that? No, we don't know. Okay. Only he knows that, and would love to talk to him about it. Apparently, Andy said, and Andy sticks by it, And I tend to believe him 100% that when Andy asked him, well, didn't he take a test, a polygraph test? The only reason I thought that it was 100% coming from the cops is because they told Andy, no, he didn't even take a CVSA. Andy had no idea what a CVSA was. Okay? So why would he say, he told me, he said, no, he said, when I asked him, they told me he didn't take a CVSA. And I said, do you know what a CVSA is, Andy? And he goes, no. I said, it's a computer voice stress analysis. And what it does is it measures the micro tremors in your audio voice. And it gives two patterns. One goes like this, like straight across, like just a flat plane, and the other goes up as a Christmas tree. It's the sister to the polygraph. And it's a quicker way. If a suspect, for an example, says, well, I'll take a polygraph. Okay, well, they know a polygrapher's got to, it's going to take 5 or 6 hours to get that guy there. Okay. But a CVSA is just a box. It's a computer box. And you can go in the next room and say, okay, here it is. Let's go. Let's get you hooked up. It takes about 10 seconds. So the moment Andy said, yeah, the detective said he didn't take a poly and he didn't take a CVSA, I knew for a fact it was coming from a cop. Okay. So and Andy said, when he told me, he said, no, he hasn't taken it. He says he has, but according to everybody else, he hasn't. And I tend to believe him based on that statement alone. But go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The question I had was, if we go back to not the pelts, but the deer antlers. Well, if you get a tag to go hunting, my family's my twin brother's a hunter. My dad is a hunter. Well, they used to. My twin brother does, not my dad anymore. But you get a tag. It's like you go in this little lotto in Canada, you get a tag. Okay, you can hunt for moose or you can hunt for deer, but there's a cap on how many deer you can go get. So how is he getting hundreds or dozens or whatever it is that he's selling? Where's he getting those from? Is he illegally hunting?
I think he's trading. He's like gathering from other hunters as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he's trading them for additional monies. Yeah, and he'd make those runs out there.
Sure, because there's lots of hunters who would have the antlers, and they're looking for the meat because they're feeding their family or whatnot, and he says, I'll take the antlers.
Yeah, and look, let's use your dad and your brother as a perfect example, right? Compare and contrast, okay, behaviorally. They're hunting for food.
Yes.
Okay. And that's one form of hunting. The other form of hunting is big game sport hunting.
Right.
Where they hunt for the kill.
Right.
Okay. It's the thrill of the kill. Okay. I think Barry falls into that category more so than your hunter. Okay. So you can picture this guy sitting in a tree stand, for example, for days. Okay. And then seeing the victim show up, but not taking the shot because it really wasn't a thrill. Okay. So they're almost like there's that adrenaline that goes crosswise. Okay. A regular hunter is boom. Okay, I've got some food, right? They take it, they get it bagged, and you bring home, a year's worth of meat.
Yeah.
Right? Your dad and your brother have. Oh yeah, he's got a freezer in the garage.
And I'm going, that's Bambi.
Yeah, he's got moose meat from 3 seasons ago that he still hasn't eaten, right? Yeah. Exactly. Okay, but that's a total different guy than who we're talking about here. Okay, and I learned that on the baseball field, just standing there I pictured just being there when he was in that school. By the way, he went to that school from kindergarten, okay, up till 7th grade, or I think 7th or 8th grade. And then he transferred over to which was the high school / middle school. Okay? And then he went to the high school. Okay? All of that, okay, understanding that behavior of that. And I even went and I talked to one of the farmers nearby. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, what were these kids like out here? He said, oh, they were great kids. They were great kids. And he remembered, a couple of kids that were really, really good ball players. Okay. I went and I looked in the snack bar, and I found out he used to work in the snack bar. Okay. So he lived in that environment, I think, because it was a refuge from some of the other situations, potentially the pressures at home. And I don't know the totality of them. I just talked to a bunch of people who confirm my suspicions.
And he's in this small town. It's not that big.
Yeah, I think it's like 5,000 people.
Yeah, I read that. And so you have 5,000 people. You're in this small town. Like you said, eyes were on Barry even at home. Yep. And he's in this he's an athlete. He's in athletics. He's the big guy on campus, so to speak, in terms of, going down the street and doing his bicep curls while he's driving on a Friday night. And he's the man at that time. And in a small town, I mean, small town's a small town. I say this before, everybody knows everybody. You don't give directions on street names. You give it like, you got to go to Betty's house. And then when you get to Joe's house, you make a right. If you've gone to Jim's, gone too far. Right? It's just the way it is in a small town. So for Barry to be so comfortable to do all these things, this is his element. It's his element, and he's not moved around, right? And
right.
I mean,
but he burned a lot of bridges.
I don't doubt it.
There was a lot of business transactions that he lit up. Okay? And remember the one guy who came forward and, I think he's all over YouTube, where he said that they got into an argument, and do you remember that guy
on the job?
And he was running for senator. So you can imagine, if what this means, right? But deep down inside, all of that is a facade. It's a projection. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's a projection.
Insecurity. There's insecurity.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yes.
So what other thoughts that you have, Miss Linda? I've kept you here for an hour and a half.
I can talk to you all night. You know that.
Right. And he was running for mayor. My sweetheart just corrected me. He's running for mayor, not Senate. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just got corrected.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. What do you want to say to everybody out here? His motivation seems to be financial control. Criminal gossiper says, "Yeah, that seems to be. I think you're into something there." And I don't know what the extent of, what the motive's going to be in totality, but the more I look at this personally, the more I'm learning about, some things, and I can guarantee you this. I can tell you this, that I feel very comfortable saying. Suzanne did not want to leave that home in Indiana. She had everything going for her in that life right there. And she was extremely comfortable and positioned correctly for the next phase of her life. And then, when the move came, is really, I think, how she felt isolated. Mm-hmm. If you look at that terrain that surrounded her, those are cornfields, and then they double as bean fields in the off season. Okay. So she has this open terrain of farms all around her. And she was extremely comfortable getting in her car and just driving over to one, her closest girlfriends, right? And they were lifelong friends, okay? And even today, I stopped I talked to one gal, and I asked her, I said, what was going on with, your observation here, and who's the ribbon about? I just asked her like that. She goes, oh, it's about Suzanne Morphew, and we love her. Okay. That's who she is. That's who she is. And it's sad to see that, we even have to have this show tonight. Okay. Because, she has a lot of life in her. And, you pick that up, and, spending so many years as a homicide investigator, you have to understand your victim. If that victim is deceased, I'm not saying that he killed her. Don't misunderstand me yet. Okay. I'm just saying that, man, the dots are not connecting on the correct lines here. Okay. And the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to know who Suzanne was. Mm-hmm. And meaning where is she from? What was it like on a Friday night for Suzanne to be in that Cutlass with that boy? Okay. And, that's who she is. And that's what's captured the world. I think she's captured the world.
And imagine that. Imagine she's grown up in this small town. She has the bestest of friends growing up, and still to that day, years and years and years, the difficulty leaving a comfort like that is immense.
Yeah.
You're leaving the town that you've grown up and you're an adult in, and now you're going to a different area. You're leaving your friends behind, everything that you know, and you don't want to go. So there's one thing to be looking forward to another next chapter in your life and going to this, okay, I'm ready to go and explore. There's another that I don't want to go, and I don't want to leave my girlfriends, and I just want to stay here, but okay, I'll go. Much different. And this isn't just a house or a place that she's just fleetingly just been there for 6 months. This is her entire life. And now she's leaving it in a Griswold situation, like you said, with it all piled up on the vehicle.
Literally.
And she's heading out of town. Imagine that day for her.
Yeah. And the fact that she was reaching back out. I want to answer this question from Maria.
Absolutely.
And then we'll pick that thought up. So do you think she's in a Slider property because he got so mad when Andy came up? But you're talking about the shotgun incident, right? I'm assuming when they came up on the side there. And did they use dogs? Yes, they used dogs. And and I think he was definitely not happy. Evident of the fact of the way he presented himself that day to some of those searchers. Okay, but thank you for that question. That's a very good question. RMW. Whoops, where did it go? What is the significance in someone friending multiple men on Facebook the night prior to her disappearance? That is a great question. And first, I want to ask Miss Linda what she thinks about that one.
Well, when I first heard about that, let me just double check first, because I believe it was on the Saturday after. Was that correct? I believe it was Saturday after.
It was thereafter, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got to remember there's an abduction theory going on right now. So that day was when he put out that video. Hours later, that night, in the middle of the night, somebody did the friend requesting. Someone did the friend requesting. So you have a potential abduction. Now you need someone who abducted her, potentially. So all of a sudden there's a spree of friending of these men who are the same age as Suzanne. And where was it going to go with this? You have these men that's all of a sudden, and this is out of character. This is not like Suzanne, not even a little bit like Suzanne. And it's done at nighttime, close to, I believe it was, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it around midnight or something like that? That
Yep.
check was, yeah, right?
Around that time.
You have this at nighttime in the middle of the night, which when you look at it from an outside view, well, what's this married woman friending a bunch of men in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
That's pretty much my take on it. Like, nah, no way. Who had her phone? Who had her account? Who's friending who and why? And my connecting the dots, in my opinion, goes back to the abduction theory. You have somebody who has abducted her. We need somebody to be, we need somebody that's, potential suspects. That's my take. You go. Yeah. Your turn.
I think that's you're right on target. Keep throwing those darts because they keep hitting the bullseye. Because this idea in of itself, I mean, let's first just stop. I mean, for a second, right? It's like, so let me get this right. Okay. This girl who's known these people all her life, okay, she's now nowhere to be seen, and she's decided, hey, you know what? Nobody sees me. I'll just go ahead and friend everybody. Okay. By the way, I'm missing. Okay. So who do I know on Facebook? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So then let's roll that back into the stranger abduction theory. Okay. This is a very smart, confident woman. Okay. I just spent all that time walking the streets that she walked. Okay. Now, it's one thing to be naive. Okay. It's another thing to walk through the cornfields, okay, and not have fear inside of you. So that fear turns into strength. And we call that street awareness. Okay. It's, I was kind of creeped out around some of those cornfields. Okay. Because I'm like looking around going, okay, what's around me here? Where's my orange vest? Okay. Well, this is her environment. She grew up around this stuff. Okay. In the country, she would be in that environment. Okay. She grew up in a very comfortable, solid family, okay, that taught her well. Okay. The fact that somebody would kidnap her, throw her bike like that, somehow decide, you know what? I should also throw the helmet.
Yes.
While I got a minute, I just, here it is. Okay. And yada, yada. Okay. And the beat goes on. Okay.
And can you take off the helmet so I can chuck it out the window?
Well, yeah.
Excuse me. Can you just take it off? I just need to chuck it out the window for evidence for later on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, okay, I guess, and then, I guess you could have your husband go down and ask if anybody's seen a helmet and a trash can in front of the marketplace, and then leave a note about the bicycle clothing that she was allegedly wearing. Okay. Has anybody confirmed about bicycle clothing, by the way? Has anybody thought about that?
The confirmation of it?
Yeah. Did you know on the label of every shirt, well, if they're made overseas, there's what they call an RN number. Okay. And that RN number is registered with the Federal Trade Commission. I can tell you what hour that shirt was made, at what factory, and by what employee, anywhere in the world. Okay. So investigators, if you're smart investigators, if they ever found clothing, all they have to do is look at the RN number. Okay? And then I had a caper one time where we had a shirt behind this restaurant, and the suspect had taken it off because it had blood all over it, because it was the victim's blood. Long story short, I ran that RN number and discovered that a lot of those jackets, it was a jacket, had been shipped to the mall across from the homicide scene. So I found the store and I went through every registry tape to see if I could find the match of the purchase. And lo and behold, I did.
Wow.
And I got lucky. Go figure. So those are the kind of things that, we got to think outside the box. We're just not talking about. But then if it's obvious, it's obvious. Don't go down rabbit holes. You'll spend too much time going there. Any guess on Mother's Day was chosen? Seems like an extra insult of planned. Love both channels. Kelly M. I'm being honest with you. I'm leaning towards an accident that just got out of control. If it was, just my first brush on this thing, if other people are involved, I don't know yet. It's still too early. The cops will know, and the DA will know. It sounds like there's a new DA up there, and she sounds like a tiger. No pun intended.
Linda,
but, yeah, go, girl. Let her.
yeah.
Hopefully, she can get something in front of the grand jury one day. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Any other thoughts, Miss Linda, before?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Before going to Indiana and after, what's something that is that has most maybe caught you by surprise, or biggest takeaway? Just something that just really stuck with you from going there, as opposed to when you first arrived.
Well, I didn't go in there with any, preconceived ideas that, okay, we're going to find A, B, C, and D, right?
Of course.
I did go in there with an open mind, and I still have an open mind that, what, if he's not involved, then, we have a responsibility to say, hey, the guy's not involved. Okay. And I will be the first one to come out and say just that. Okay. At this point, what I took away the most in this situation, after talking to friends and family and others, and then, seeing the environments, standing where they stood, in front of the church and all the other stuff, right? And just kind of, standing there with Roger, his dad, and just learning a lot about the dynamics of that family, and talking to folks about, those dynamics. And there are a lot of folks that knew them, by the way.
I bet. Small town.
Yeah. It's very small town. And, there were a lot of people, it's 50-50. Okay. But the ones who are on the other side that says, oh, no, that guy was, A, B, C, and D. Okay. He's still the same. Okay. I picture, I don't know if you saw the guy on YouTube recently where one of the council members was on this council, and this guy had an open forum to come up and talk. And the council was trying to institute bullying in schools through the school district. And this guy stood there and he basically berated one of the superintendents on the board about getting his head in high school stuck in, the urinal in school, in the bathroom. And he looked at him and he says, you were that guy. Okay. Now this guy's got a great life. He's a regular guy. Okay. That's what I came away with. That's Barry. He's got two personas. Okay?
Yeah.
He's got a very controlling persona that, there's this perception of perfection. Okay. But then the real side of it is it's a disaster. It's like turning on, a blender. Okay. And I talked to those people where the blender was turned on. And I talked to the people that had the perception of, I had no idea until I talked to Suzanne. Okay. And so we had both of those coins. So he hides, what I came away with the most is he hides the secret life extremely well. Okay. What I think he didn't anticipate is 1,600 people on this live right now.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out. You see
Smart.
this smart people and people like yourself and others out there, boots on the ground, those folks. Okay. I think he didn't anticipate this. And I talked about this the other day in our class in North Dakota. I told the detectives, I said, look, you guys got to think outside the box now, because the 21st century has brought a whole new set of dynamics for investigations. When do you think he'll be arrested? I do not know, Maria, but I have confidence that the investigators, that this investigation is still moving forward, and that justice will be brought for Suzanne at some point. And hopefully now we have a good DA. They have a good DA over there that will be able to, to get it going. But we'll see. I don't know. We don't want to, tip any hats here. So, with that said, any other thoughts, Miss Linda?
Just on that last video that you had, one of the most riveting parts of that video, the premiere you did tonight, was the realization, maybe realization is not even the word, but it just hits you where you show where Suzanne grew up, where she was walking, the areas she hung out, her hopeful future, marrying, her love. And man, if you guys haven't seen that video, go see that video, but bring some Kleenex. But really, it just really hits you. This beautiful woman, so kind-hearted, so loving, friends all around her, just a light everywhere she goes. And you see that in the spots where you walked, it just hits you. It absolutely hits you. And we're in 1 year. I mean, how fast time has gone by. I'm sure not so fast for those who miss her, but it's been a year, and it's time for Suzanne to come home. I've said this over and over, but it really is. She just had her birthday, 50th birthday. Mother's Day's coming up. These dates are especially empty, and it's hell. I say this on my channel. Limbo is hell.
Yeah.
Not knowing, and Suzanne's dad died without knowing.
Yeah.
And so it's time for truth. And somebody knows something out there. Somebody knows something. And maybe it's not today, but one day it'll come out. I follow DNA and these stories. I mean, look at the Kristen Smart case 25 years later. If it doesn't come now, it's coming. It just won't be when you expect it.
Definitely. And he better look, folks better look over their shoulders. How about that? And because it's going to be real interesting. It's going to get interesting because quite frankly, I've just started, and, while he hits baseballs, okay, this ain't my first rodeo, and we'll just see where the Cowboys are going to play. That said, Miss Linda, I want to thank you so very much for coming over here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know if my sweet Karen was here around me, she would run in here and say thank you. So I'm going to extend her thanks to you. And to all of you folks who came over from Miss Linda's channel. It's a crime if you have not subscribed from our channel. Get over there, ring that bell, push all the thumbs, do everything, get her up to 1 million. You got to get you up to 1 million people so you can even help more people out there. To all of our mods, thank you so much for everything that you do. We're so grateful for you. You dedicate so much time to us on YouTube channel, or just as creators, and for that we are grateful. We cannot do this without you. Just thank you. And all of our subscribers who follow us, thank you. I mean, what can we say? We are focused. We are focused on doing the right thing here. And, if we make a mistake, I apologize up front. I will tell you, I make mistakes, but they weren't intentional. At least I try not to. And the ones that I do, my wife, corrects them quickly anyway. So I'm in good shape there. To my D-man, I love you, pal. I mean, you are absolutely the best. Linda, he produced that whole thing.
I watched it and I just thought, this is amazing. So talented.
He's great. Yeah. Boy, he's got it. He's got it. So with that, D-man, would tell everybody aloha. We love you guys. Be akamai, as they say in Hawaii, which means pay attention, be alert, take care of each other, be friends to one another, and be kind to each other. Suzanne, we're coming. Kelly, we're coming. Maya, we have not forgotten you. We are coming. We're going to come and help the best that we can help. And God's given us gifts, so there's no greater gift than to give it away. We're coming. Don't worry.
We won't
Hang
stop.
in there. Dillan, take us out.
Hard working every day. I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts. Wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah. Make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away. You and me go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze